like to clear this up once and for all. And it is something that people have debates over. With regard to the Sermon on the Mount and stuff like that, Jesus' command was, well, Jesus said that the greatest commandment was that you love one another. Well, was that you love one another, but also he said, love one another as I have loved you. But he also said, he was asked by a lawyer, by one of these religious leaders, what is the greatest commandment? He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus also said, it is enough that a servant is like his master. If we are to be disciples of Jesus, we are to love one another. Do you understand that? And we are to love God. This is something that, when it's looked at, to care for other people is important. And Jesus went on to say, all the law and the prophets, hang on these two commandments. And John went into it. If your main characteristic, if how God has changed you is love, then all the law and the prophets will follow after that. We're not talking about offering a sacrificial lamb. A sacrificial lamb has already been offered. I think it was either still or I watched part of an atheist video. But the saying there was, and here, I don't know if you can hear the children outside. There's some children outside, I can't see them. The gist was, this book is a book of fairy tales or whatever. That kind of thing that the atheists say. The atheists note the quote fingers. It's a book of fairy tales, not to be taken literally. Well, has it passed anybody's understanding that, and some people have subscribed to this, that the law, that the book, the Bible, and all this stuff, that it does have metaphorical implications. So that when you see Jesus fed the 5,000 with the 2 fish and the 5 loaves, that it also has metaphorical implications where the metaphor and the literalism, shake hands or join together. But the law is there specifically. All the law comes down to loving God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And loving your neighbor as yourself. So when Jesus talked about love, and he said, love one another as I have loved you, this is my commandment. You can't just say, brush aside, there are no commandments. We don't have to do anything as Christians. I would go so far as to say your salvation as a Christian depends on it. Jesus said it's enough for a servant to be like his master. Grace is not there. The Bible says, turning the grace of God into license. Basically, you can do whatever you want. That is exactly what we were talking about. It is the grace of God. It is not license. If you don't have regard for God, for love, then you don't have regard for God, and you will not be saved. Okay? It is only through love that you are saved. Jesus said to the Pharisees, your father is the devil. Why? Because they were not loving God with all their heart, mind, soul, and strength, and they were not loving one another as themselves. Grace is not there for license, the Bible says. Grace is there to exhibit the characteristics of God, which are brought down to, or reduced down to love. And if you're confused about love, look at the commandments. And if you're confused about the commandments, look about love. You know, He will put a new spirit in you, He said, and cause you to walk in His ordinances and His commandments, etc. It is unacceptable, and people recognize this in other people. It is unacceptable that a Christian be hateful, because Jesus said your father is a devil. And if you expect to get in there, you know, the whole thing with the 5 virgins, 5 were wise, 5 were foolish, 5 kept their lamps burning, and 5 ran out of oil. You know, the Bible says, you know, those people who would not, you know, who would not make a profit, you know, went to where there was weeping and gnashing of tree teeth. Your Christianity must make a profit. And he said those people, you know, those citizens of the country that would not have him as king, bring them before me and slay them in my presence. Because you will not have love as king, but you will choose hatred and bitterness and arguing and abominations of all sorts to rule over you. There's no choice as far as the third option. There are 2 options. So may the grace of God be with you, and may you choose the love of God. Because as a Christian, I'm speaking only to Christians, only to these Christians who are serious, who make videos and are getting to this stuff. Your salvation, or, you know, as you said, the broad path to destruction, that depends on you, and not on some mystical experience where you put your hands together, close your eyes, and mumble some words. That is not even biblical. So may the grace of God be with you all.